Welcome back to the 2-Minute Warning, episode 461, back on the topic of the NFL. Today, Jay and I are going to be looking at whether or not we think the Cleveland Browns, a team that obviously had a huge season last year with getting the first playoff win in who knows how long, can the Cleveland Browns win the AFC? That's what Jay and I are going to be looking at today. But before we get into that, question of the day, and that is, who is the Cleveland Browns franchise passing yards leader? Again, if you know the answer, comment below, and if you don't, stick around to the end of the video and we'll discuss it then. But Jay, obviously, a team in Cleveland with one of the best backfields in football, a young quarterback in Baker Mayfield that people are beginning to believe in. Do you think this Browns team can win the AFC this year?
Personally, I do think they can win it, but really, we thought with the 7th seed being added on to the playoffs in the NFL, it would be easier, but it's almost harder now. You saw the Miami Dolphins 10-6 last year, didn't even make it. So, question in itself, will the Browns make it, is a question. To the playoffs is even in the question, especially because of their division being so hard with the Ravens, Steelers, and Bengals. But I'm predicting they will win the division. Big Ben is deteriorating. Joe Burrow has just Joe Burrow, and Lamar Jackson and the Ravens will definitely be a playoff team, but I think the Browns are so stacked all around, they will win that division. And of course, this is more of a question, can the Cleveland Browns beat the Kansas City Chiefs in the playoffs? Because they are, right now, they hold the crown in the AFC by far. Buffalo Bills, they're getting better. They just signed Emmanuel Sanders. Los Angeles Chargers, we know they're going to be a threat, but we have to see a little more execution in this offseason for sure. And then the Dolphins, they're emerging a little bit. I don't have faith in Tua, but they're still a good team, especially on defense. Patriots just bought everyone in free agency. I am very bullish on Carson Wentz and the Colts. Tennessee Titans, a lot of people like. I'm not a fan of them this upcoming year, but it is still a team to not count out by any means. So overall, though, can the Browns win the AFC? I seriously think they can. When you look at their entire team, there's not like a certain area where they're just, completely absent. Yes, there's some sides of the ball where they are weak, but there's nothing like the Browns are just completely absent at, like the Bills, where they have 0 run game and 0 pass rush. The Browns, their weakest spot before this offseason was the secondary and the pass rush. Secondary, it has Denzel Ward in the lockdown corner, but they just added in this offseason John Johnson from the LA Rams and Troy Hill from the LA Rams. And really, these are 2 amazing pickups, in my opinion, to the Browns, because what they needed, they had the star power, they just needed some depth on that secondary, and they got it right there. John Johnson, a star safety. Troy Hill, there's question behind him, but I think at the value they got him at $6 million a year, it is definitely worth it, and he will probably be a slot corner. Kevin Stefanski's become an amazing coach, already coach of the year, and really the pass rush just kind of has Myles Garrett and Sheldon Richardson right now, which isn't the strongest, but it at least has a foundation for the Browns to work on for the rest of free agency and the NFL draft as well.
I think this Browns team is certainly one that should be in the conversation for winning the AFC. We saw them get relatively close last year very close to beating the Chiefs in the divisional round. Obviously, with Henny in the game, it was a little bit of a different game, but the Browns played good football. And like Jay said, these defensive additions with John Johnson and Troy Hill on top of what they already had puts together a good defense. And we know that this Browns team has one of the, if not the best backfield with Hunt and Chubb. So I think that this team is really putting together all that they can and all that they need to be. Really, the conversation for the AFC, like Jay said, is who's going to beat the Chiefs. There's plenty of other teams that play into this. Where do the Bills fall in? If you picture a Cleveland, Kansas City AFC Championship, where do the Bills fall in? Where do the Chargers fall in? It's a team that we have good hope for this year. Where do the Colts fall in? If they have good, they could be good this year. Where do all these teams fall into play? That is obviously something we'll have to wait and see. But I do think the Browns are the best team in the AFC North. I don't know. I do think that the Ravens will be a playoff team, but I don't think they'll be better. Obviously, the Browns have a passing attack that the Ravens just don't have. So a lot of this also boils down to what can you get out of Baker Mayfield. We saw him have a pretty good beginning of the year, but not great. But then we saw him in the last half absolutely just cut down the interceptions and really play efficient football. He had like a last half of the year a 9-to-1 touchdown to interceptions ratio for the last half of the year. Whatever it was, he really cut down the mistakes and really produced a lot of good throws. So I think Baker Mayfield is capable of it, but it's just a matter of can he play to that level for a long enough time to win the AFC, because I think the one thing that might hold him back is a young, not necessarily young, and he's going into his 4th year, but just kind of reckless quarterback at times in Baker Mayfield.
Yeah, and really also this is kind of a side note, but this year really determines Baker Mayfield's price market because after this year he will be due for a new contract along with Josh Allen and Lamar Jackson.
And we're going to see Baker go 175 years and set a new record like we have seen quarterbacks do all this offseason.
He wants to be on that same par as Josh Allen, who we know is already earned his contract and proven himself. And Baker has proven to win football games, but no one's going to compare him to be Josh Allen money right now, in my opinion. He is, I don't want to label him a game manager because I think he has the potential to be better than that, but as of right now, that is what he's been doing. I do think Kevin Stefanski, though, can get him to come out of there, and I think with the healthy receiving core of Odell Beckham, Austin Hooper, David Njoku, Jarvis Landry, and he just re-signed Rashard Higgins, this receiving core has plenty of speed and plenty of size with the double tight end threat. I don't think there's a huge wideout. I mean, I think Odell and Jarvis Landry are both under 6 foot. Rashard Higgins, I'm not sure about his size. I don't think he's a 6'3", go-get-it guy. But with the double tight ends, it does kind of pan out. But I'm really going to be curious to see, with a healthy Odell Beckham, you would think this might be the little edge that could take them from the divisional round to the AFC Championship. But once you're there, you have a chance to go all the way. But we saw the year before, Baker was young, Odell's new to the team, so that was a factor. But we saw the year before when Odell was healthy, Baker forced the ball to him and it just threw off the offense. There wasn't any, chemistry. There was no good schemes. Didn't have Kevin Stefanski either. So a lot of variables should go into play, but the one time we did see them together, it did not work well. So that will be a huge question mark moving into this season, how they will do together, both healthy.
Right, that's a good point. I do expect the Browns to make a step up from what they did last year. And like I said, last year was a run that took them all the way to the divisional round. So what's the next step from there? AFC Championship, because like I said, these defensive additions make this team a better team, and you can't help but assume a healthy Baker or a healthy OBJ and Baker Mayfield is not going to disappoint. I really don't expect that to disappoint anybody. So again, what it boils down to for me is, can Baker Mayfield play efficient enough football to get this Browns team where they have the potential to go?
Yeah, and I'm curious, will they trade Odell Beckham? That's a factor as well, which I'm for that idea because, like I said, I don't want Baker to force the football to him. I don't think it would be as bad as it was, but I do think it would be kind of forced because Odell kind of is a quote-unquote ball hog, I guess. He does want the ball, which when he was with the Giants, fine. I mean, he was one of the best receivers in the NFL, but ever since then, and that beautiful catch, Odell is not even in the same bracket as Tier 1 and even Tier 2 wide receivers. Is just handing Odell Beckham that kind of status, which he hasn't really earned in a while. So I'm curious to see. He is probably the biggest factor on this team, and of course the NFL draft. I hope, I'm not a Browns fan, but I hope they can luck out and maybe get a Kwity Paye or Jalen Phillips to fall all the way down to their pick. I believe it's like 26. I don't know it exactly, but I doubt either of those guys fall. But either way, I want them to address defensive line in the NFL draft, and if not, look at it elsewhere in free agency. But also, even though the receiving core is stacked, look for that 6'4" go-get-it guy that is in the NFL draft. See who could go get it. Kadarius Toney from Florida Gators. He's a big dude. Look at him. There's several options out there. And really, I'm just nitpicking at this point, but still, no team is perfect. They can fix a couple things. But really, overall, I do think they can be a serious threat and have a good shot at winning the AFC. Yeah,
we saw what happened to the Chiefs in the Super Bowl with a great pass rush in Tampa Bay. Right now in Cleveland, you got Myles Garrett up front. You build on that by drafting Kwity Paye or Rosso from Miami, and this becomes a Super Bowl team, Super Bowl bound team, in my opinion. Yes.
Yeah, really. Yeah.
All right, you Browns fans, comment below what you think about this team moving forward and whether or not they can win the AFC, because Jay and I both think it's on the table. But as far as our question of the day, the Browns franchise passing yard leader is Brian Sipe. Guys, thanks for watching. 2 in the morning.